That one I'll do in a second.
Well, it's that.
I lowered it a little bit just so you can get some headroom, but.
So that one's good, and that one I'll put on in a minute.
Okay. Want me to?
It's
Is
might
that
as
one
well.
good? You guys like how that one's set up?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Alright, we
Thank you.
You didn't turn it
I'll
on.
get it. I'm gonna do it right now.
Thank you, Vaughn.
Oh my god. I want to find a kid that I can hire to come in and do this.
I'm getting his earphones. I got the big ones this week, Lenny.
You should advertise at the high schools, Linda. I bet
Yeah,
that would
we're
make
gonna get
some
him online.
dreams come true.
I
techie
wanted
kids.
to ask them about,
Your doctor.
but they say it's here already, so I
Okay.
can get anyone. So I wasn't.
Maybe Google best headset.
Yeah, that would be better. I went to Walmart. They have some. Linda said Best Buy has 2 aisles.
That's
Okay.
overwhelming.
Pardon?
So that's overwhelming.
Yes.
Well,
But
they say the
like-
reason is because everybody is so plugged in today.
Yeah.
Before there was one choice or 2 choices.
But I
you
thought
know,
they
now-
wore buds all the
But how do
time,
you
which I don't
know?
know how.
How do you know which one to get?
Right.
Well, it's just a matter of listening. It's not the mic. So
Lenny, I
probably
got them this
comfortable
week.
ones, you know.
Yeah.
Mine's not even on.
Now, when are we doing it? Is it this week we're doing the photos? At this station?
No.
I want to get it before then.
I have no voice.
Wait, you gotta follow it. You got it now?
No.
You're plugged in.
Good afternoon and welcome to Connecting Caregivers on the TAN Talk Radio Network with me, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for caregivers with love, laughter, and lessons learned. So glad to be here today.
So
Well, we
happy
don't
to
have
have
any
you
sound
here.
in here.
I
I don't know
do.
what's going on. You do?
I do.
Oh, do you have sound?
I have sound very
Well, I don't-
loudly.
It's yours, and
Okay.
I've been near you. Yours is pain.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, I don't have any sound in mine.
All right, so happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, happy Memorial Day weekend. It's a good holiday weekend. It's like 95 degrees here in Florida. So
Better than the
all our
storms.
listeners in Florida get it, but our listeners everywhere else they're saying to me, "Oh, it's 60." There we go. Hi, Linda.
Yeah, God forbid she can't hear herself.
We could even make it a little lower now.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I want to give a shout out to our newest listeners. We have Krista in Tarpon Springs, Joanne in Treasure Island, and Jillian in Oldsmar.
Welcome, ladies.
So welcome. You know what I always say, there's always room on Connecting Caregivers radio show for guests at any time, at any place, not just at 12 o'clock on Saturdays. You can go to the podcast, you can go to YouTube, you can go to Facebook, you can go everywhere and hear the show. Delighted because I know that your time is valuable. It's not easy, and we're just very glad that you're tuning in. So, any plans for Memorial Day?
I might go to the bar where my sister works to see her.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, I am going after the show to meet my grandson in Epcot. So that's
How
going to
fun.
be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. We have, as always, our wonderful health coach detective.
Turn me
now.
off.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, honey, how you doing?
Good. How's everyone?
And you're
here?
live in the studio today,
I'm live
which
in
is
the
really
studio.
nice. Not just on the telephone.
Yes. it's
So look
exciting
at her.
here.
She's pretty.
Oh, thank you.
And we also have our dear friend Rachel from Arden Courts, Largo.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me on the show.
Didn't I just see you like an hour ago?
Yes.
Yes, this morning we did a support group at Arden Courts, and it was a really great group. You know, it's always the right people need to be there on the right day, and sometimes it's just the right combination of people. How God works in that way makes me very excited, and very, very good. And I brought some of those muffins to Vaughn, and he was very happy.
Oh good. I'm glad he enjoyed them. Our cook worked hard on them.
It's all good. So Tammy, what's our tip today? What do we want to talk about today? We want to talk about a few things.
Yes, we're going to talk about a few things today, but we all know someone who's had a fall.
Yeah.
And actually, we may think it won't happen to us. But the fact is that 1 in 4 Americans over the age of 65 have a fall each year. And
One in
every
4.
yeah, Every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in the emergency room for a fall. Every 19 minutes, an older adult dies from a fall. Yeah.
And if you don't die right away, you die down the road.
Exactly.
Well, because you know, you think of somebody that's in a fragile condition already, and then they fall, and anesthesia is not my friend. You know, sometimes that can just plummet.
Yes. Yeah. So falls are the leading cause of fatal injury and the most common cause of non-fatal trauma-related hospital admissions.
Wow.
So yeah, and a majority of falls occur during routine activities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're caused not just by one issue, but medication,
Right.
vision impairments, general weakness, poor lighting in the home.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Slippery floors, clutter, uneven
Those
surfaces.
scatterrugs, no good.
Yes.
No good. Especially people up north, they use them a whole lot more than we do down here. But a lot of us have it in front of the kitchen sink. I know I do. Or in the bathroom or something. We need to get rid of those.
We don't allow them at Arden Courts because they are such a fall risk.
Yeah.
But you know, when Jack was sick, I had to take them up because he had neuropathy in the bottom of his legs. And I like the way the house looks without them now. I got so used to it. It's cleaner, easier to clean.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
Lynn looks on the bright side.
Yes. Well, it's important to keep it clean, like you said. Yeah, to keep the clutter up.
Yeah.
Even shoes laying around or anything to trip over.
Magazines.
Yeah.
I've seen somebody be sitting down and try to lean on a stack of magazines to get up. You know how dangerous it is? Just that move thing goes crooked and all those magazines go splat out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So shoes, that's another important thing to think about. Shoes fitting well and proper arch for the foot so
Yeah.
that it's giving good control in the feet because that can be something that can cause
Well, lots of
problem
times
as well.
lots of times seniors, they just got those like floppy slippers.
And I wear flip-flops all the time.
Yeah.
But I can't get shoes to fit me.
Mm.
And it's really hard.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
you
have
but you
closed
pay
shoes.
attention. You pay attention to your shoes though, and how you walk, and
I'm very lucky so far. Nobody can believe I can get up. I take baths. I don't shower, and I just pop right up. It's not a problem. But someday you never know.
Yeah.
that's why we just keep trying to stay in shape and do what we do.
I'll wear flippers.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Good balance.
Yeah, you have that good balance already, so
Yeah.
I've been told
Yes.
by your mother.
Oh yes. I'm planted with the big
Yeah.
feet.
She
Lynn
knows-
has balance and poise.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
she does. All right, so let's talk about this a little more.
Okay, so inactivity and lower body weakness, this is really an important factor in preventing falls. The core, the back, the hips, the legs, any kind of pain there, that's something that needs to be addressed because that's going to affect a person's balance and flexibility.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
If you do sit-ups, does that help your core?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to really be careful. with
Well,
doing sit-ups.
crunches.
Yeah.
Just crunch. I only
Yeah.
do 100. It's no
Well, and you
biggie.
can also lay on your back
Yeah.
and lift your legs up a little bit, and then bend
Just
your
lift-
knees and pull it
Oh.
towards you and back. That's
That's
what
good for the core because
Yeah.
everybody talks about the core, and I'm like,
Even the point of just laying on your back and just lifting your legs is good. Just
That's
hold
what
it
I'm
in for as
saying,
long as you
yeah.
can hold it.
well, thank you.
You know, a good simple thing as well, if you're just standing in line or something, tighten everything. Tighten the bum, tighten the tummy, tighten everything.
Oh,
Hold it for 10 seconds, let it go. Tighten
Yeah.
it again. Because that's strengthening as well. Yeah.
I'll
well,
tell
that's
you.
good to know.
I'll tell you, years ago, my sister was having a Halloween party. This was around it turned out it was a surprise party for me, but I didn't know it because my birthday's in November. She had it in October, and she said, you invite some of your friends too. Well, anyway, I was going as Catwoman. You know, a Catwoman suit. And I commuted to Connecticut at the time. All the way driving to work. I sucked it in as tight as I could. I let it out. I sucked it. I looked okay in that Catwoman outfit. But that was just like while I was driving.
Yes. Yeah,
So.
and you can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
Sitting down, standing up, you know, taking care of ourselves. That's an important
Well,
thing
it's,
to do.
when I bring my groceries in, I make believe they're like weights.
Yes.
I gotta carry them in the house anyway.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, just make sure they're not too heavy
Right.
when you're doing that. Yeah, because you can harm yourself. So falls, with or without injury, they also carry a heavy quality of life impact. So a growing number of adults actually fear falling,
Oh,
so
yeah.
they limit their activity.
Yep.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is this is something that really needs to be focused on. So however, falling is not an inevitable result of aging.
No, it's not.
So through practical lifestyle adjustments, there's ways to reduce the risk of falling, which is important for caregivers to know and for seniors to practice.
You know, I see the women that I go to Curves with, because I'm one of the younger ones in Curves.
Oh God, it's a geriatric party.
But we're still, you know, I always say you have to move to lube, and if you rest, you rust. And
Yes.
some of the women aren't very aggressive in there, but you see they're getting stronger. And one woman just said to me a couple of weeks ago, she said, when I started coming, I don't know, 6 months ago, whatever it was, I couldn't tie my shoelaces. And you look at her now, and you would never think that at all. I look at her, I just met her recently, I would think she's always been in shape.
In just 6 months.
6 months, she couldn't tie her shoelaces.
And that's an important thing to remember, because age is a factor, but you're never too old to get moving.
Right.
And to have an improvement and a benefit from doing that. So it's, don't be discouraged. Just start where you can. Get moving.
And you know what? When you go over to visit Mom at her house, and you go there, Mom's just sitting in front of the TV, encourage her to get up and do something with you, because you come there and you visit, Mom's just sitting in the chair, Mom looks kind of cute in the chair, she's fine in the chair, and you leave, and you come back 2 days later and you visit Mom again, Mom's sitting in the chair, and you just hang out with her for a while and you leave. You may not realize that Mom's becoming more frail. You may not realize that Mom's not getting up enough. So go closer to Mom, hold Mom, hug Mom, so you can feel if there's been any weight loss or anything like that too, and encourage her to get up and walk in the kitchen with you or something, just to see, because they say, I've been visiting Mom twice a week, or I didn't think she was gonna fall, but you're not really sure what shape she's in unless you can get her out of that chair.
And like you always said, and then they don't drink water because they don't want to get up, and that will hurt them also.
Yeah, because they're afraid if they drink water, they're afraid they're gonna have to pee, and if they have to pee.
Yes. So in line with what you just said, we need to make sure we're addressing medical conditions. We need to focus on that, and if there's anything that's affecting flexibility or balance there.
And a change of medication
Could be.
really could be a big deal.
Yeah. And then again, modifying the home environment, the lighting, the clutter, all that kind of thing, to make sure you're doing that. And then to get the right clothes and shoes. So if something's too tight, maybe they don't want to walk. Shoes aren't working right, they're not going to feel safe.
Right.
So that's important.
And if your loved one has dementia too, sometimes it may be difficult for them to express to you that they're in pain.
So they can't verbalize that.
Yeah, if
Right.
something's not right. You know, we were just talking about that in the support group this morning. We were just talking about something as simple as brushing your teeth. And you don't realize how many steps there are to brush your teeth and what you have to do with that. So we really have to pay attention and to be really clued into our loved one with what's going on.
Absolutely, yeah. And then we want to also incorporate assistant devices. So if they need to use a cane.
And they got really cool ones today.
Yes, yeah, to fit their style.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'd rather, and I hope I feel like this as I age, but I'd rather use a walker than fall.
Absolutely, and if you can kind of address that before there's dementia or Alzheimer's, because at that point it becomes very difficult for them to learn to use that. So, you know, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I just went on that honor flight, and there were people that don't normally use walkers, but they were used that day, and there was wheelchairs used that day, just because we knew it was going to be a taxing day, it was going to be a long day.
Right, plan ahead.
Right, that could be an issue for someone falling, and going to a place where there's all different elevations in the sidewalk and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's very important. And also proper nutrition.
Yeah.
Proper nutrition and hydration. Very, very important.
For the caregiver too.
Yes.
Not just for our loved one, for us too, because we're the ones going to be picking them up and helping them with everything. And the thing is too, and if you think there's any chance of fall, well, you just getting older, get yourself one of those emergency alert buttons. There's so many different kinds. I'm going to be getting one soon just because I live alone. Just because I live alone.
Some days when your grandkids aren't there.
Yeah, well, supposedly I live alone.
Yeah.
But no, really, it's a smart thing, because if you do fall, you want to get somewhere and get help. The sooner the better.
Yes, absolutely.
The sooner the better.
Mm-hmm. So as we age, we lose flexibility. Part of that is a result of the normal aging process. Some of that is actually we lose water in our tissue. and in our spine, and we have increased stiffness. But we could do something about that. We could do stretching exercises. So when you're at curves, make sure you're stretching before and after.
Yes.
And it could be something as simple as when you wake up in the morning, before you get out of bed, stretch your arms up above your head, stretch your legs out, and hold it, and just stretch as far as you can. Do that 3-4 times before you get out of the bed, because you're activating everything, and you're giving your body a chance to get a little more flexible.
Yeah, I don't do exactly that, but I stretch before I get out of the bed, and I drink a half a bottle of water before I get out of the bed.
That's
I've been
good.
drinking during the night anyway, but I still wake up
Vodka
parched.
doesn't count.
I still wake up parched, so I usually drink like at least a half a bottle of water before I get out of the bed.
But
That's,
didn't your
that's how
doc-
they say to start your day. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
didn't your doctor tell you, or somebody, that how flexible you really are?
Yeah.
And
The,
my-
the chiropractor tells me all the time.
Because
I'm
I
so
said to
flexible.
my sister's a great athlete, and I said, you know, Linda, they told her her flexibility is wonderful. She says, I know, I can tell.
Yeah.
And she exercises and doesn't have as good a flexibility. That's good. You won't be falling.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Except you have
Very
stairs.
But see, like I have stairs. I live in a townhouse, and people go, "Why do you want to age there?" Because I feel those stairs are going to keep me alive.
Right up my bed.
Right.
You
My
know,
bed
they'll make me
downstairs.
go up and down. If there's a time I have to do that, I'll do that. Or if I have to get a chair that goes up the
Yeah.
stairs or something. But right now, even if I have to bring down 3 things from upstairs, I only bring down 1 at a time. So I make myself go back upstairs just to make myself do that.
Yeah,
That's a
but
good
another thing you
practice.
can do before you get out of bed is sit to the edge,
Uh-huh.
put your feet on the floor,
Uh-huh.
and bend down, touch the floor, or as close as you can, and do that a few times, because that's stretching your whole back out. Yeah.
That makes
Good to
sense.
know.
Yeah. And the other thing is balance. Okay, balance is important too, flexibility and balance. So we want to maintain that as well. And there's some exercises we can do that for that. The tightrope, which you don't need anything for this. All you need to do is hold your arms straight out to your side, make sure they're parallel to the floor, and walk a straight line.
That's what the
Like a
police make you do.
Just
Or the
pretend-
Walendas.
Pretend you were drinking vodka the night before. No,
Yeah.
don't do that.
But
Yeah.
it's difficult to walk a straight line.
It does take some balance, and you're gonna,
Oh.
you want to make sure there isn't anything around you when you're doing this, and you want to go
Yeah.
slowly.
Yeah.
But it does help because it's engaging the brain.
I'm gonna have to
So-
try that.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if you're going to mention this, but I want to say this if you're not before you forget. Make sure your eyeglasses are good.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
because sometimes you can have the same prescription for 3 years, it's just fine, and that's what I was thinking. And then for a while when I was driving, just my left felt a little funny, and when I went to have my eyes checked, my left eye was much weaker than it was before, and I didn't realize that.
It sneaks up on you.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I think I didn't feel right.
And that's gonna throw you off balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same
Yes.
thing, same exact thing. I just got my eyes checked. They're like, well, maybe it's because you had a baby. I'm getting astigmatism in my left eye. So you just never know.
Absolutely.
No. So just take that, go and get your eyes checked.
Well, I see well. I had my cataracts done, and I see beautifully.
Yeah, you do. You see everything now. She sees
I do.
every wrinkle in my face and everything else too.
They were well earned. Any wrinkles we
Yes,
have.
they were.
on
Because
it.
ours are smiling ones.
Exactly.
Okay, so another thing is squatting.
Squatting.
Because this is gonna improve our balance when we have stronger legs.
Okay.
So you can stand at the chair, hold onto the chair, and squat down. And you.
Oh, as long as you can use the chair,
Well, the
that's
kitchen
not so
counter.
daunting.
Well, the kitchen counter is not so
Yeah,
bad.
that's
Yes.
not daunting because the other way is hard.
Yeah,
You
and so
lose your balance.
and you're just gonna
sometimes.
do the motion like you're sitting. You don't have to
Oh.
go straight down, just like you're sitting. Yeah,
Okay.
and just go a little bit until you feel comfortable, until you work up to it. Yeah, and then there's one more that you could. It's called the flamingo. And so you stand
One
with your
leg.
yes, stand with your arms again to your side and just pull one leg up. Right, just hold it there for 10 seconds. Do the next leg. Do that a couple times as well.
Yeah, and just hold it as long as you can because they do some of the classes like take a curves on balance. I'm not so good at the balances. I like the aerobics better because it's always like stand here, like I'm whatever.
Not enough action.
Yeah, so it does make a difference. It really makes a difference.
It does make a difference. Yeah. And then there's another thing that really has been shown to improve flexibility, balance, strength, which is the box technology.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Look,
So-
Lynn's got her patch
Oh
on
no,
today.
they're on
All
today.
right. Excellent.
I have my box socks on today.
Yes. So it's really, it's there's a new study that just came out. Dr. Robert Thatcher over at the VA, he's come out with a study where he studied people with regular socks and the Vox technology socks and did EEGs, and has proven that this technology actually is making a difference. It works on the brain stem, right? And it puts us into homeostasis, which allows the signals to go from the brain to the body much better. And I can honestly say I'm a caregiver as well. I take care of my grandson. I went after school every day, and I have to transfer him. And when I first put the technology on, and I wasn't thinking of it, I put the patch on, and I went to lift him, and I lifted him into the wheelchair, and he said, "How'd you do that, Mimi?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "You don't lift me that easy." And then I realized I had the patch on, and so it increased my flexibility and my strength.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah. So what kind of results are you getting?
I didn't, the center, I don't have anything wrong, but I just thought maybe it'll do my brain and get me working
well,
better.
she was
but-
thinking too, she was having a little issues with her blood work, and she just went to have her blood work done after she's been wearing it for over a
We'll
month
see.
now.
We'll see.
So we'll
Okay.
see, because like Mary Jane can smell again.
Wow.
You know, she could never smell before, and she can smell again. So who knows? I don't know if that's the best thing in the world, but who? And what were you saying before when I walked in this morning? When you said, "Shut the door." What was that story? One of you was saying that somebody used it has no more pain.
Oh, okay. A friend of mine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, she has RSD, and she has a spinal cord stimulator for the pain that she's in on a daily basis. And she's been using this technology, wearing the socks, and she has had, for the first time in her life, day after day, pain-free. Yeah.
Day
So
after
she-
day, pain free.
Yeah, so a great improvement. And you, your friend, her dad
Oh my
has been
God.
wearing it?
Her dad is too much. So her dad, I love her dad. Her dad has Alzheimer's. He was walking with a cane. He was having issues with it and still struggling. And he started wearing the Vox. And I go over her house a couple weeks ago, and her dad comes walking out of the bedroom, flipping his cane like Fred Astaire. I'm like, oh my God! We both started crying. And then they play rummy cards all the time. And she kept for like a month all the score sheets. And for a while, he was forgetting her name. So he would just write down you and me. And then he really couldn't like line up the numbers, and he really couldn't add up the numbers. And sometimes he would just get angry and scribble on the page. Now he's been wearing the Vox, and it says Michelle and Dad, and everything's lined up and everything's added up. Good.
I just figured that since I have no issues, that I won't get any.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. Because so much stuff is about prevention too. But we won't even be having a show if we don't hear from our partners. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Connecting Caregivers Radio.
Okay.
You see, I said the same thing. I didn't have any issues. And they said to me, okay, we want you to wear it for 21 days, 24/7, and then take it off. And the first night I took it off, I had the worst hot flashes I've had in a long time. And also the next day I tripped, and you know I'm a tripper.
Yes.
And,
And you don't even have big feet.
Right, and I
There's
hadn't
no
tripped.
excuse.
I hadn't tripped in a long time, and I was just like, I'm putting it back on.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, just wear it on the armor for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, she's been keeping hers on for like 2 days.
Of course, I don't bathe ever, so.
Well, I had mine. I had the patch on for 6 days, but my skin under there, so
Oh, me too.
it's not
Like
good to
enough.
keep it on that long.
No, I get a little, that's why I switch on back
Yeah.
and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it does
that's
stay
happened.
up. Yeah, it does stay
If I
on.
can keep it on,
Yeah.
so I used it. That was 2 months I've been using it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look great.
So I can just tell them where to get the
Yeah.
box. And
Yeah.
then we'll have this lovely lady.
Are you gonna teach me?
That was nice. Because just imagine, it's just us, all 4 of us talking.
She's
That's
was
all.
on before.
I know, but she's nervous. I'm giving you
We're
some
so
good
easy.
energy. Yes.
So you're
Well,
telling
yeah,
me
you
about
did really
Dawn
great when you chimed in.
and Master.
Yeah.
How long are you gonna stay?
I can say almost till the end.
Okay. So I think after. So we're gonna have the caregiver affirmation. The commercial. And then, yeah, you guys can share the microphone there.
Okay.
So, When we come back with the commercial, I'll come back to say to you.
Okay.
And how do you want me to start? What's the first question?
We can start with when we're talking about falling. So, I mean, another reason for falls is hydration. So we can just go into that, and I can talk about the summer months and wandering.
Wandering, I think, is important.
And hurricane season?
I don't
Do
really
you
have
take
anything on
people in?
hurricane
Oh, you don't
season.
have to, take family members in when the...
I mean, we would, but I just didn't prepare anything on that. We just have stuff about like heat, hydration, heat stroke. I have a ton of stuff on heat stroke in the elderly and like the difference between getting heat stroke when you're,
I
older.
don't even understand with the older people. You see them, it's 90 degrees and they have sweaters on.
Right. I talk about, you need to dress them appropriately and.
Alright, so let's start with that. When we come back, I'll say we just talked about hydration a little bit. Let's talk about heat stroke too.
Okay.
I'll just tell them real quick where to go to
Yeah.
the box.
Yeah.
You could hear out of those, right? At first it was super
I had none at all. None I had super loud.
Is it too loud now?
No, it's fine now.
You have to follow your thing to it and one on either side.
Want to nominate a caregiver? Download the caregiver affirmation. Or to listen to this week's show or previous weeks, just go to www.caregiversradio.com. Are you looking for some resources, support group, inspiration?
Good to hear
You can
Tommy's
find it all
voice.
at caregiversradio.com.
I'm gonna be co-hosting, so you're gonna have to give me some good juju, because you do so well, and I'm gonna uphold that.
You're a sweetheart.
No, she gonna do events?
Yeah.
So do you want me to have them?
You could email it to her the week before. Email it to me and I'll print it out.
Today, this week, I just copied last week's and I got them all ready. I was so proud of myself. I just changed the date and redid it and then you send me another one. How do we do it?
I'm so pesky. Such a troublemaker.
I
Wednesday.
don't believe it.
These are like pancakes.
Red roses too. For me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Please let people help you. The other day I was at the supermarket and there was a woman trying to get her husband into the car and she was sweating profusely. And another person pulled up a few minutes later and said, she was her neighbor, and said, you didn't even have to go to the store. I could have come to the store instead of you dragging your husband to the store in the heat. I could have went to the store for you. So please, this woman was almost passing out in the parking lot. It's not necessary. When your neighbor says to you, what can I get you at the store? Make a list. Just put a little list down, or just put something.
Or
that
sit
you
with
like.
my husband while I go to the store.
Yeah, or just let me go to the
So
store
they can get out.
myself, or something like that. So, and I'm sure they would be more than glad to.
Yes.
You know, and we've been talking about that a little bit too. A lot of people have been helping us since my grandson had the accident, and sometimes just saying to somebody, "Could you just go to Sam's Club and pick up a couple of cases of water for me?" They're like, "Yeah, that'd be great." So Tammy, where can people get Vox? So now we're teasing them about all this Vox stuff and not telling them where to get it.
Yeah, so you can go to my website, www.hope4healthnow.com, and go onto the products page, and then look for the Vox, which is on the right-hand side as soon as you hit products.
So there you go. You can also go to Connecting Caregivers Radio, and you'll find a listing with about Vox all about that.
I'm gonna try it.
You're gonna try it?
Yes.
You sold me on it. I
She
definitely
sold.
want to try it.
She's sold. So we talked a little bit about not drinking enough water and about some dehydration. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Let's talk about heat exhaustion.
Yes, so it's the summer months. Our caregivers at Arden Courts kind of have to change their care model now that it is summer in Florida. It is so hot outside. I'm sure you guys have all felt it. It's like an inferno. So the elderly experience heat a lot different than maybe you or I might. They can get heat stroke, kidney failure, fluid and electrolyte imbalance, and then they can even get infections. So
Really?
Caregivers know how horrible UTI can be for somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia, and the effect that it has on their Alzheimer's or dementia, and they can even get sepsis. So from heat stroke or from
Wow.
becoming too hot. So they're definitely more vulnerable, and that's because of some of the medications they take. They increase the odds of them getting heat stroke.
And they just dress warmer for some reason. They want to wear their sweater or their pant, you know.
So should you take the sweater away?
Definitely take the sweater away. It's
Oh, I
actually
didn't know that. I thought they were cold.
Well, no, it's actually a part of the Alzheimer's or dementia that they're experiencing temperature differently, but their body isn't. So it's their
Oh.
perception of temperature, but they're still going to get heat stroke, even
Oh.
if they feel cold. And sometimes you even get a chill if you have, if you're experiencing heat stroke, your brain is shutting down essentially. So,
Wow.
and then with memory loss or dementia, they're not drinking properly. So that's our biggest challenge, is that we're having to dress them appropriately. We're going to need to put, hats, sunscreen, sunglasses on them, and then we need to be checking that they're drinking hourly. And because they have Alzheimer's or dementia and it's warmer out, they'll spend the majority of the day wandering around outside if we don't redirect them, get them inside. So that's important too. And then I want you to be aware of the signs of heat stroke, so that if you see the person you take care of, they need immediate medical attention.
Yeah.
So, and I know it's hard with, someone with Alzheimer's or dementia. You can't tell if this is part of that or part of heat stroke, but look out for signs of fatigue and dizziness, or feeling confused, more confused than usual.
Yeah.
Restlessness and anxiety, again, just more than what you would normally see in them. Headache, nausea, vomiting, very heavy sweating. But if it's really bad, they're actually going to stop sweating because they're going to be so dehydrated that they just
There's
can't.
nothing left to sweat out.
Exactly. Extreme thirst. So if you do give them something and you see that they're just really guzzling it, you need to pay attention to them, observe them for at least an hour. And then if their skin is hot to the touch, their cheeks are very flushed. If you take their temperature and it's above 104, definitely they have heat stroke.
Yeah.
Or they're at risk of heat stroke. If their pulse is weak, or their blood pressure suddenly drops, if their breathing is shallow, and again, this would all be right after being outside, so exposure to the heat. If they faint or they black out, if you notice when you're changing them that their urine is very dark or it has a very strong odor.
It should be clear.
Right. If you see that they're getting muscle
And that's
cramps.
an easy way to figure
Right,
it out.
immediately, you know that something's going on. They need to be hydrated immediately.
And if I can just say this for a minute, because this was something else we talked about at the support group this morning. The woman says that her loved one is going to the bathroom a whole bunch more times, like a real lot of times. He's been eating a whole lot more, so maybe that's part of the reason. But I said, is he really going to the bathroom when he goes in there? And she said, I don't know. So sometimes your loved one is going to be going into the bathroom, but they're not really going to the bathroom. So I'm sorry to say, but you need to go in the bathroom and check.
Or there's
and,
even
and see, and just look into the toilet bowl, and if you see the yellow urine right then, you know there's an issue.
or you could even like unplug the toilet, the thing in the back that makes it flush.
Oh,
There's
good
little
idea.
things, or if you're worried about, the number
Plug.
2,
To
take
shut
away
the water off.
the toilet paper. See if they mention it or if they call for you.
Well, that's
So-
a great idea.
So there's little ways too to kind of keep it dignified so that they don't feel like, you're peeking in on them.
But you really want to check it, because I'll tell you,
Absolutely.
a very good friend of mine too, Gary LeBlanc, and he's a dementia expert. His dad was living with him, and he was telling him he was going to the bathroom every day, and his dad didn't go to the bathroom for almost 3 weeks, and he was impacted so bad that he almost died.
Oh.
And
You should get a baby
and-
camera.
yeah,
One of
but,
those
but
baby
up
cameras.
until then, he didn't have that issue. He didn't know. But then when the disease progressed, he just didn't realize it. So just think about, double check the bathroom.
Absolutely. That's always what I say to people when they're touring with me, because our showers are in the hallway, and I say, mom or dad might be able to shower themselves now, but how do we know that they're not just getting in there and letting water run down them? How do we know when they stop knowing what to do with the shampoo versus the soap? So it's
All the hot and cold water.
right. So we never know when they start losing these skills unless we're observing them, but that's also hard for them. So
Yeah.
always blame the doctor. Just say the doctor said.
Yeah.
Make the doctor the bad guy.
I know somebody that had the doctor write a prescription, more or less, that said you have to drink so many bottles of water a day. Because when her mother said that, the doctor said it, and
Right.
it was written on that prescription, so she did it.
And the elderly, it's important, I think, especially for their generation, to be good patients, to follow the rules.
Yeah, they listen to
and-
the
Yeah, it's following the rules.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So ways to prevent heat stroke. Hydration is the number one thing. It's the key. So it's the most essential nutrient that we require, and it's difficult to get them to drink water. People with Alzheimer's or dementia. So good ways to do that. Infuse it with flavors they like. Lemon, cucumber, whatever it is. And then if they're just not willing to drink things, which is a lot of our residents, you want to push water-rich foods. So there's things like strawberries, cucumber, watermelon.
Celery
Celery is also over
and all melons.
all over 90% water. So it's like drinking a glass of water, eating those foods. Flavored drinks are fine, so sports drinks, milkshakes, smoothies, and then previously, we kind of thought that coffees and teas weren't included in our fluid intake, but now they're kind of saying, of course, decaf is better, but if the only thing you can get them to drink is tea or coffee,
At least
then
they're
push
drinking.
that, yes, at
Right.
least they have some kind of fluid going through them. And then I know this is strange, but for some people with Alzheimer's or dementia, their taste buds are changing, and they might be, usually it's the sweet, but some of them are wanting the savory. So if it means giving them, chicken or beef broth, whatever it takes, popsicles, just to get
That's
some
what a
fluid.
chicken broth. Popsicles will be you. Definitely be
Yes.
the popsicle.
And then accessibility. What you said about the toothpaste and how many steps are involved in brushing your teeth. It's the same thing with fluids. So if you have your person that you're caring for at home and the water is in like the crisper drawer in the fridge, then that's probably too many steps for them. So
And you're afraid if they bend over, they might fall
right,
down.
exactly.
And, yeah.
So keep it on the counter, already opened, or whatever you can think of. You know them best, but just make sure that they know how to get to the water.
Yeah.
Give them a cooler by their chair.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
all right.
But we
And-
do want to get them out of the chair.
Yeah.
But they'll have to go to the bathroom.
But with my mom, I used to make her shakes with Ensure in it also. So because she wouldn't take the Ensure, I know she needed it at the time. So I just put some ice cream in with the Ensure and blend it up, and it was a big treat for her. It was no problem. She would, she would take that.
Absolutely. Ice cream makes everything better.
Yes.
I have yet to have one of our residents turn down ice cream, so.
It's true though. It's true. I hear so many people especially just to distract them from something, or just to redirect something. They could be, having a terrible time, and just say a little bowl of
Absolutely.
ice cream can make a big difference.
My
Ice
mother
cream
said it's
could
the
be-
best invention ever. That's what she used to say. She
Really?
just loved it. But she only allowed herself Saturday nights. She was 94. She says it's not good for you to eat it every day. Saturday nights. You're 94. I'd be eating it for breakfast.
That's why she lived to 94.
I know.
Because she took care of herself
I know.
and she did all that kind of stuff. So that's
Yeah.
really important. And maybe we need to think about, do we have to take them out all over the place in the heat?
No, definitely try to keep them inside as much as possible, but they're going to take themselves out in the heat. So we see a lot more instances of wandering this time of year. And it's 6 out of 10 people with Alzheimer's are at risk of wandering. So they get picked up by the police, they end up in the hospital, and then you're faced, with these situations where they're being Baker acted, or they're in Jerry psych because hospital staff don't know that they have Alzheimer's or dementia. They don't know what's going on with them. So there's some reasons they are more likely to wander. They're obviously confused, so they might set out to find home, not realizing they're at home. They might be having delusions related to the Alzheimer's or dementia, or they're trying to escape from a perceived threat. And I've heard this one from family members coming into us that they were the perceived threat. So sometimes the caregiver is the person that they're confused about, which is, heartbreaking.
Yeah, you weren't his wife.
No.
Right.
He
like,
called
"You're
the
not my
police on me.
Yeah. I hear it all the time. So we know that people with Alzheimer's or dementia can get agitated. We hear this word a lot, and that can come from boredom, restlessness, not getting them up out of the chair enough.
Can you take him driving in a car, maybe, if you can drive?
I mean, I think
Because there's air conditioning.
I think that any kind of change of scenery can be good for them. We really push activities at Arden Courts, keeping them stimulated, and then they're tired and, they're ready to sleep and they're not going to be roaming around outside at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And I think let your neighbors know what's going on with your loved ones. I have that business card, and on the back it says the person I'm with has Alzheimer's and dementia, may not hear properly or make the proper decisions. And one of the girls came to the support group and she took a couple of cards, and then she called me a few days later and said, "Could I have like 15 more?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right." And I left them at my house for her. And when she came to the next group, her husband's starting to wander and he's starting to walk in the neighbors' yards.
Yeah.
And he's starting to let the dog poop on the sidewalk and not clean it up and all that stuff. So she just went around to all the neighbors and gave them each a card. Now she has a whole team
Wow.
that's watching out for him.
Locally.
Yeah, and it's not saying, "Who's that crazy guy?" or "What's he doing in my yard?" or "That guy, look, he let the dog go."
And that's so important for caregivers to have that security, to know, and lack of embarrassment.
Right.
Yeah.
So, he's out there wandering. One of the neighbors goes over and talks to him a little bit now and then walks him home. It's not...
Right, they know what to do.
So let your neighbors know, because sometimes we're embarrassed. I hate to say it, but sometimes caregivers are embarrassed because their loved one has an issue. You know what? That issue's on every corner, guys.
And that could be what prevents them from ending up in that Jerry psych unit is, the neighbor knows where to bring them and why.
Or falling, or
Right.
getting hurt, or getting taken advantage of.
Anything could happen.
I had a woman in a support group, her husband, or her dad used to just get in the car, and one day he drove to Kane's Furniture and ended up giving a lot of money to a young girl that worked there. They went out for lunch, and...
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
They're so vulnerable.
Right.
So besides telling your neighbors that your loved one has dementia, which was actually on my list, there's other things you can do to prevent the wandering. So if their needs are met, they're less likely to wander. They could be walking around outside because they're looking for something.
Right.
So it's helpful to ask them, do they have to go to the bathroom? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? If they're no longer verbal, then there's other ways you can bring them something to drink or eat and see if they take it. Take them to the bathroom. You want to check with the doctor with medicine. Some medication or make them more likely to wander if it gives them kind of that nervous energy. And then repetitive activities are good to give to them. If you do have a wanderer, walking is a repetitive activity. So sometimes putting them in a rocking chair or just any activity that kind of is repetitive like that will help them get their anxieties out. You want to make sure that they have space to pace. So you want to make an inside walking area. We have one at Arden Courts. It is if they are pacers, you're not going to be able to get them to stop. But it's too hot outside for them to be pacing all day long outside.
Yeah, down to the mall or something.
Exactly, yes, that's perfect. Cover your interior doors with camouflaging posters. Paint them the same color as the walls, kind of make the door blend in. You can put a big red stop sign on the door, deadbolts.
I was just in a community yesterday and it's a poster over the door, but it looks like a bookcase.
Right.
So it looks like there's a bookcase at the end of the hall instead of a door. I thought that was clever. That's the first time I saw that.
And
we're going to come back to this, but we just need to hear from our sponsors. So don't go away, guys, because we don't hear from our sponsors. You don't hear from me. So we'll be right back.
Is it okay? It's not like a laundry list, is it?
No,
I
it's
don't want it
fine.
to be boring.
It's a lot of stuff for them to think
A
about.
lot of
Oh, it's all
information.
important
Okay.
stuff. And they, I think a little bit of repetition is
Hear it
important.
like 3 times.
Yes.
And more than one
Yeah.
person saying it.
Yeah. I'm gonna go, ladies, so
Okay.
have a good rest of the show.
All right.
Good seeing you.
Yeah, and it was great seeing you.
Oh, so you're not gonna
You did
take the
great.
iPad
You're
then?
doing well.
Oh, so you're not taking the iPad?
No.
Oh,
Yeah. It's alright.
how
Alright.
much longer do you have? Like when
10,
you,
11 minutes.
So
No,
you're done
no,
right-
a little less than that.
you done right at one, you're done before
No,
one?
141, yeah.
Before 1. About
Before
5
yeah.
to 1.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wait till 5.
Alright, we'll end it. Alright. So we're gonna come back, you're gonna continue, we're gonna say Arden Courts, and we're gonna say goodbye to you, and that's
Okay.
basically what it is.
Or you can give me the iPad and I'll deliver it to her.
You didn't have any announcements this
It's after this.
Yeah.
I can take the iPad and deliver it to you. Just give me your address.
What are you gonna do?
Whatever you
Well,
want.
if it's 5, okay.
I saw you last time I was here. You had to bolt out really quick, but you were here for the first 5 minutes. I knew I'd met you.
Oh,
I know her.
She's unforgettable.
thank you.
So what am I talking about? You guys talk from now on, right?
Yeah,
Am I
and I just
done?
might say what's the one last thing that you think's
Okay.
important, and I would
Find the
just,
most important one.
I think it's,
Medical identification bracelet, I think is important.
yeah.
Yeah. Especially people at home, you know, they're still caring for people at home.
And you don't know how many people tell me, oh, you saw him along right now, he's okay, and he is okay until one day.
Yeah.
Until one day it progresses, and
never
they don't
know.
even realize either, because they're with them every day.
Yeah.
People always come to us because there's been an emergency, and I try to tell the ones that are coming, just checking it out, like, don't wait for the, like, please don't come back in a year when you're having the emergency, like, do it now.
Right.
Yeah,
Just be prepared for it.
But
yeah.
Have you seen the full prevention show, Denying Gravity?
yeah, we saw each other, remember?
Oh, yes, I do now, that's right.
It was great.
But
I loved
it's
it.
really, they're really going a long way, they're going to Washington DC and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Had you seen it? So you'd probably seen it a lot before that.
I know all the girls that are in it, and I know all
Oh,
about it, but I
wow.
could never see it, 'cause it was always on after the show went far away. That was the first one I could go to.
I didn't think it was good to be an inside sponsor. It seemed like the sponsor, and of course we paid the most to be an inside
Yeah.
sponsor, but the ones out there
think so,
got
too.
a lot more traffic. So I was
Yeah.
like in there all by myself, I'm like, this is stupid.
Don't buy the book now. You know what that means when you hear those horns? Get your pen and paper, because Lynn's got good stuff to tell you.
I do, but before I start, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that today is National Wine Day.
Oh my goodness.
I
We're
know.
not going to be together? That's
No.
not good.
On
And
June,
you know, we didn't say hello to Vaughn today, did we?
Hi, Vaughn.
Hi, Vaughn. We're doing great.
On June 5th, from 10 to 11:30 a.m., with registration at 9:30, Arden Courts of Seminole is having a free dementia caregiving seminar. Seminole. Dr. Peter Rabin, author of the 36-Hour Day, will be the guest speaker. RSVP by calling 727-517-7800.
He's an outstanding speaker.
On June 6th, from 5 to 7 p.m., Grand Villa in Dunedin is hosting a caregiver spa day with inspirational speaker Linda Burhans. There will be chair massages, wine, hors d'oeuvres, complimentary day stay will be available for your loved one. RSVP to 727-755-2207. On June 12th at St. Anthony's Hospital in the auditorium, Teepa Snow will talk about taking a positive approach to dementia caregiving. There will be 2 identical sessions. First one is 9 to noon. The second is 1 until 4. Please RSVP 727-230-2059.
You do not want to miss this. Teepa Snow is my idol. She's just wonderful.
On June 16th at 3 p.m., the Matinee Opera Players will be performing Summer Romance at the Pinellas Park Performing Arts Center in Pinellas Park. It is by donation. There will be complimentary snacks at intermission, raffles, and door prizes. That's it.
Alrighty. One last thing. The Dementia Spotlight Foundation will be at Belvedere Commons on June 5th from a seminar from 10 to 12. If you're interested, call 813-265-0844. The show ran away with us today. One last thing from you today, Rachel, what do you want to tell our listeners?
The last advice I want to impart on you is to, if you are caring for someone at home, to get a medical identification bracelet. Just put your loved one's name on it, put memory loss, and then your phone number, an emergency phone number that you know someone will always be there to answer. So at least if they do wander, they get home safely.
Yeah, the best thing is to be prepared. Somebody just told me recently, that mom walked out of the house, never did before. It never happened before, but one day it could happen, so just be prepared for that.
Yes, if you come to Arden Courts of Largo, we'll give you one. We'll give you an ID kit.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
There you go. Tammy, what parting words do you have for us today?
Well, just make sure that if you have any questions or you're wondering what we talked about, you forgot something, make sure you replay this back and listen to it, because falls are very serious, so we need to prevent them.
Good advice, Tammy.
Thanks everybody for tuning in today. You know how much I appreciate you, and I'm so glad. Go to the website and nominate a caregiver for the caregiver contest. Remember, God loves you, and have a delicious day.
Yay.
Bang.
All right. You did terrific. You're welcome.
She's a pro.
Yes.
You're the one who also gets fear of.
Oh, I'm
speaking,
petrified.
So I don't know how you do this every week.
Well, this because I figure I'm not here, so I just talk to her. But yeah, no, I can't get in front of a group.